We all hear the rumors about Russell Westbrook possibly or potentially, being added or joining to the Clippers based upon the Clippers point guard situation. And I feel like, with all this being said about it, the one thing that isn't being said enough is the fact of, what does Kawhi think about it? And now sources say that Russell Westbrook is to meet with both stars on the Clippers in regards to, possibly coming aboard on the team, but to me, I feel like either one or two things has happened at this point, possibly, either Paul George has convinced Kawhi Leonard, to go along with it just to see how it works out. Just the same way he probably did, of course, he did with John Wall. Or maybe he just, convinced the front office that they should look into Russell Westbrook more, possibly than even pursuing Patrick Beverley, reuniting with one of their older compadres before, in battle. But who knows how that's going to turn out. But regardless of how it turns out, I just don't see the best situation coming out of this. Now, Paul George says that, it makes sense for Russell Westbrook to come along, but he said the same thing about John Wall and how'd that work out. You see what I'm saying? And I know Kawhi Leonard is very close to Paul George. They're really tight. They've been seen hanging out together at Rams games and, in the off season, doing things together and all those type things. But, if I were Kawhi Leonard, I would sit back and look at this a little bit further. I personally think, of course, where I stand on it. I don't think that Russell Westbrook can make the Clippers a championship team, obviously because of what I've seen all the way up to this point in his career. You could say what you want about Russell Westbrook. He is a great player. He's a top 75 player. He's a Hall of Famer. He's all those things. But when we talk about winning championships, is Russell Westbrook going to move the needle for you in regards to winning championships? No, he's not, because he's never won one before, and he's played with multiple Hall of Famers before, or potential Hall of Famers, and Paul George could be one of those potential Hall of Famers that he's played with and has come up empty and has not found a championship. I mean, he's played with James Harden, Paul George. He's played with James Harden twice, actually. He played with him at OKC when he came off the bench. He played with Paul George. He's played with Kevin Durant. I mean, he's played with LeBron, AD. I mean, I don't really know where to go with it. And because it's like, when you play with all that type of talent, there's no reason why you shouldn't have a championship. It's no reason why. But there is clearly a reason why he doesn't have a championship, because Russ knows how to play one way. And we just saw it on the Lakers. I mean, think about it like this. Hypothetically, if the Lakers start playing better, continuously going forward after getting rid of Russell Westbrook and adding some other pieces who are not on Russell Westbrook's level in regards to, overall gameplay, because D'Angelo Russell and people like that, they're not top 75 players. Let's just keep it real. So they're not really technically on Russ's level, but at the same time, at this point in their career, this point in D'Angelo Russell's career, he's more valuable to a team than Russell Westbrook is, because there again, when we look at the league now, more so than it was several years ago when Russ was dominating and playing at a high level in 2012, 13, it's more of a three-point shooting league now, even more so than what it was then. So, I mean, if you can't stretch the floor and provide perimeter shooting, I don't really know what we're talking about, because every team you look at that's a dominant team or a team that's going to be a tough out, hard to beat, they got a lot of good perimeter shooting. And when you have a lot of good perimeter shooting, it helps in a lot of cases when the superstars are getting double teamed based upon who they can count on to get the team out of a bad situation by the other guy, or should I say the role player, knocking down the shot that makes it all well-rounded and makes it all, complete. And when you don't have a point guard who can do that, it really makes it more difficult to, consistently score, consistently stay afloat at times when your superstars are not playing the way they're supposed to. And on top of that, it makes it harder. It makes it harder on everybody else's job when the point guard isn't playing at the highest level, because he's the one that anchors the offense. And this is my point. If they plan on bringing Russell Westbrook in there, then you got to understand what comes with Russell Westbrook, and he could be a setback for the Clippers, or he could help. I'm not saying he would be a complete bust for the Clippers, but he could help the Clippers, in some ways. But I don't really know how that would be, because there again, is Russell Westbrook going to be content with the minutes that he's going to get? Because as I said before, it's not much minutes to go around the Clippers, because it's not much, opportunity, because they have so much depth in so many areas. How much playing time will Russell get? And on top of that, if the Clippers did get Russell Westbrook in a buyout situation, how much would they want to play Russell Westbrook? I mean, you just saw him with the Lakers. When the Lakers had him in the starting lineup, it was a catastrophe. When the Lakers had him coming off the bench, he played a lot better. He played a lot more, I would say better than what he did when he was in the starting lineup with the Lakers. But at the same time, they still were losing, and he still had turnovers that were coming at the unopportune times of games. And, he can't stretch the floor and shoot. So that put the Lakers at a deficit against any team they played against, because one of their top players was a flaw. One of their top players was, one of their cons. He was one of their flaws. He wasn't one of their strengths, in regards to what he brings to the table. And that's the same thing that he would do to the Clippers. And that's the reason why I don't understand why the Clippers would even waste their time really with the buyout looking at Russell Westbrook. Because if Russ was really the answer, the key in all these things, then how come it didn't work out with the Lakers? How come it didn't work out with Kevin Durant? How come it didn't work out with Paul George in OKC? How come it didn't work out with James Harden in Houston? You see what I'm talking about? This is my point. Like, you're seeing the signs over and over and over again, and it speaks loudly for itself. Yeah, of course, Russ is not the player he was back then with those players, but he still should be a lot better than what he is now in regards to helping a team and helping himself, possibly getting a championship. But it's hard for him to get one because, like I said, he can't shoot. He can't stretch the floor. And the league now is more about shooting. It's not about, getting to the rim, dunking, and doing all the things that he used to do in his time. Him, Derrick Rose, people like that. When it was more or less their time, the league was a little bit different. Now that their time has faded, it's more about that three-point shot and that perimeter access. So if you don't have players or a point guard who can stretch the floor, it's going to be hard for you to win a championship. And anytime Russell Westbrook is on the floor, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long, he can make your life a living hell as a team if he's not overly productive. Because, like I said, if he's not getting to the rim, scoring at will, doing what he does, which, of course, now that he's a little bit older, he doesn't do it with as much regularity as he used to. But the fact that he can't stretch the floor and shoot, it makes him non-valuable at times on the floor. And the points that he does get, like you saw him get on the Lakers, 20 plus points sometime off the bench, it didn't matter. It didn't equate to anything because the Lakers were still losing a lot of those games. So this is my point. If his points don't equate to anything, if it doesn't give you a better chance to win, what is the point? It's a waste of time. Now, like I said, to put more butts in the seats and fans to come to the game even more fans show up, because there's a lot of Westbrook fans out there. It'll definitely, increase ticket sales, for the Clippers if they got Russell Westbrook, no doubt about it. But will it increase their chances of winning a championship is what you got to ask yourself. And it does not increase their chances based upon the history of what we see in Russell Westbrook and the type of player he is and what he brings to a team. He brings his hard-nosed game. He comes out and give you all the fight in him every night, but it's just not good enough to win championships. Now, I don't know what the Clippers are going to do, of course, but I mean, as I said before, I don't know how cool Kawhi Leonard is with all this. Paul George, honestly, he needs to shut the hell up and just keep playing basketball and stay healthy. I don't need Paul George's opinion about who should be on the team, who shouldn't, and all this other type stuff. Of course, yeah, he should have a say-so because he's one of the stars on the team, no doubt about it. But I just feel like Paul George should shut the hell up and keep playing basketball because your ass stays injured a lot. You've never won a championship. You don't know nothing about winning championships. You've never been a championship caliber player. You had an opportunity with the Indiana Pacers a long time ago with Frank Vogel as the coach, and that didn't work out because LeBron was in the East, and you just couldn't get over the hump, and you never won a championship either. You never been an MVP of the league or anything like that, so you got to understand your position. You are a star player. Paul Paul George, he is a star player, no doubt about it. But at the same time, Paul George needs to shut up and play because he's been injured a lot, just like Kawhi Leonard. Only difference is Kawhi's won championships, so he's certified, but he's been injured a lot. Paul George. And he gets injured at the unopportune times as well. Last year in the play-in tournament, he gets injured the second game, or not injured. No, he goes out with COVID, I believe, or something like that, and he wasn't able to play, which shocked the world because it happened. It was reported like 3 or 4 hours before the game even started, which was shocking to everybody. But that's the problem. Paul George has unopportune times where he's injured or something goes wrong with him as well. He's not there when you need him the most. You can't count on him the most in situations when you need him most of his career or a lot of his career. That's why he's been called Playoff P and all these other stupid names that people have given him, which has become funny over time and memes because he continuously keeps allowing himself to play like that in the playoffs up until a couple seasons ago when he did play better, and I gave him credit for that. But you need to play basketball and focus on your job. Don't be a GM. Don't be in the office. That's not Paul George's job. He's not the president of the Clippers. He doesn't work in the front office. Shut your mouth and play, and let them deal with who they're gonna pick in the buyouts, who they should bring on, all that type stuff. I don't really care about Paul George's opinion. I don't, because honestly, Kawhi Leonard, the main guy on the team, doesn't give a damn about Russell Westbrook or anybody else's opinion. And the main guy on the team doesn't do no talking. So you know what Paul George should do? He should follow Kawhi Leonard. Do less talking and more playing basketball and generate more wins. And put yourself and your team in position to win a championship is what Paul George should be focusing on, along with Kawhi Leonard, which I already know Kawhi Leonard's focused on that. And that's the reason why I believe this Russell Westbrook situation can go very bad for the Clippers, because even if he comes on the Clippers, and I'm going to say this, if he comes on the Clippers and give them pretty good minutes and everything like that, and they win a championship, okay, you might have something. But if he comes on the Clippers and give them good minutes and all those things, the way he was kind of giving the Lakers coming off the bench, and they don't win a championship, I don't think Kawhi Leonard's going to return to the Clippers. I just don't see that, because first of all, Paul George is inviting people to the team when these guys are not championship built, and he's speaking off of emotion. Paul George wanted Reggie Jackson. He pushed for John Wall. Now he's pushing for Russell Westbrook. All the guys that Paul George has said and spoke out for, it's good to hear that he really likes players and he really cares about them. There's nothing wrong with that in the world. I'm not saying nothing bad about that. What I'm saying is all the players that he's pushed for are not championship caliber players, nor is he. Poor Paul George. So it's like, I don't feel like you should be doing all this talking and insisting on who the Clippers should bring in when you haven't done a damn thing for the Clippers organization, when you haven't won a championship, when you haven't done anything for the organization, when you haven't won a championship period as a player. You know what I'm saying? You were selected as the second guy on this team by Kawhi Leonard so he can have some help to win a championship. Other than that, you were never looked at as one of those type players. You're looked at as an elite player based upon what people remember from Indiana and the years that you've had good regular seasons, but in the postseason has always been your Achilles heel. So I feel like Paul George, as I said before, play basketball and focus on your game and what you can bring to this team, and let the front office worry about who's in the buyout situation and all that. Because you don't hear Kawhi Leonard coming on here doing all this talking about this, that. Kawhi Leonard's focusing on his game, what he could bring to the team, and worrying about how this team can get better. And that's all Paul George should be doing. He should not be commenting on who should come, who should go. That's not your job. You're not retired. You don't work in the front office. You still put on a jersey. You're still on the roster as a basketball player. So you do your job and let the front office do their job. Because whatever decision they make, if they bring on Russell Westbrook, as any Clippers fan out there, I'll tell you, don't be surprised if they bring on Russell Westbrook. And don't be surprised if Kawhi Leonard, takes his bags and go elsewhere in the offseason. I mean, I'm just telling you, because I don't think Kawhi Leonard ever wanted to play with Russell Westbrook. We heard about the reports and everything. Russ reached out to Kawhi and no response. And Kawhi basically left them hanging because Kawhi doesn't want to play with low IQ basketball players. He's basically said that on several occasions. So there's no need for him to really keep speaking on something that we already know that he feels. He wants high IQ players, high IQ people around him, people who know how to play basketball from another standpoint, a championship type level. And that's not Russell Westbrook. And to be quite honest, that's not even Paul George. So, I mean, I don't think Paul George should be speaking on anybody's behalf or who should be coming. Worry about yourself and your well-being and what you could bring to this team, and see if you can help this team get a championship, because your lack of play in the bubble is what caused a lot of what the Clippers went through in regards to imploding, because you didn't show up when you were supposed to against one of those teams where the Clippers should have beat them. But we all know it is what it is, was what it was, and that's how it went down. And that's the reason why I said players should play, coaches should coach, and the front office should do front office things. And that's just my take on the whole situation. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section. Also, hit the notification bell, subscribe if you haven't. And hey, till next time.